and welcome to this week's WCS Coaches Show. I'm Jeremy Qualls, your host today. We got two fantastic guests, a Ravenwood Lady Raptors head coach, Mariska Harris, and the head coach of the Franklin Rebels, Darrin Joines. You two guys on the AAA level in the Big Six made it further than anybody this year. Unbelievable year. But let's talk as WCS Sports Conference as a whole. To believe or to think that 6 teams, 6 separate squads made it to the sectionals this year. It's a record for the conference. What does that speak volumes to the group that you're playing?
Well, I think you can also say, because you guys were, 4th in the district tournament, and we were 3rd. And yet we were still the last 2 standing. So I think that says a lot about the league. Yeah. There's a lot of those things I think you could say about our league. It's a great league. It is.
And we also had, on the AA level, Nolensville. Obviously, you guys played Nolensville, and did y'all face Nolensville?
We scrimmaged them earlier in the year.
And you know, they had a great run. The boys and the girls both get into sectionals. Fairview gets into the sectionals and almost upsets in overtime a good Stratford team. Let's look at the Ravenwood side of things first. 21-12, 10-6 in district play. You lost to Franklin in the district semis. We were talking about this earlier. You go through your season, you're kind of up and down, trying to remain healthy with everybody. You get into this game. Franklin, you've got them on the ropes. Franklin is, as we all know, at this point in time was looking unstoppable in district play. You get into this game, you lose on a last-second, pretty much half-court shot from Abby Unger. Unbelievable shot. You lose that game, 36-34, and then you turn around. Let's talk about that game for a moment. How, as a coach, you go into the locker room, how do you rebound from this? Because it was remarkable. It still took you a game after that, right? You played Brentwood the next game, 39-31. You lose the consolation game, you go in number 4 seed. At any given time, you're thinking, this thing's over.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, my girls played really well that game against Franklin, and to know it was hard to lose on a shot like that, especially when we had played so well, and Franklin had our number the previous 2 games in this season. And, you know, to play that close, it was devastating. It was heartbreaking, especially knowing that if you won that, you'd be in the championship game for district tournament. So it was hard. As a coach, I took it really hard, but, you know, I tried to tell the girls, you know, we played so hard. And all we can do from this is bounce back. We have to learn from this moment, and this right here shows our resilience. It shows how we're going to respond to not just this type of thing, but how we're going to respond in life. When things are going good, then all of a sudden you're hit with something, how are you going to respond? And it took us a couple days to respond. Obviously, we came out super flat Monday night. You could tell it still affected us. Obviously, my husband pretty much told me that night, he was like, all right, you can have a pity party the rest of the day, but come Sunday, your pity party's over.
He was a college athlete himself, played basketball.
How did you accept that? Did that go well?
No, not at first, but he was right.
That was the point I was going to make. He's a college athlete, collegiate athlete, played. I imagine the competition in that house. There's no time for pity parties anywhere.
No.
It reminds me, though, did you happen to see Jim Bayline's conversation after the game?
Unbelievable, yeah.
He said, I have an awesome responsibility to go in here and tell these guys this is life.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not fun, but it is what it is. It's reality. So you look at that. And you go back, and I promise you, I'm not trying to pull off this scab. You've got the ball with points.
Yeah.
How much time?
It was like
2 seconds, maybe?
2.2, I think.
Yeah,
it was,
2.2.
Something crazy.
Under Franklin's basket. Got to go length the court.
Yeah.
You've got the lead in the ball.
Yeah.
You throw it in.
Yeah.
And what are the chances? Abby Unger, unbelievable athlete. Give her hats off to her, man. She makes an unbelievable play.
Yeah.
Coming back to the basket, throws it up, boom. You know, you could sit out there all day on a Dr. Dish and not make 2 of those out of 100, but she made that one. Wins the game. You go into Brentwood, probably a little bit of the hangover effect. You lose that game coming in 4 seed. All right, and then you go into the region first round. You play the number 1 seed. Cane Ridge has not lost a game, and for the first time in a while. Now, this is not discrediting the year that she's had and the career that she's had. For the first time, I saw in Kiera Downey's eyes that she was not going to lose that game. You could sense it. You could see it. We hadn't seen it. Probably, for me, it been about sophomore year when she was, you know, healthy and going good. Had a little hang up with her injury her junior year, but was not going to lose this game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was just proud of them that, especially after how we played against Brentwood. She shot 1 of 18 from the field, and then to turn around 3 days later and to know that her career could be over if we lost. And she just had it in her eyes. I could tell in warm-ups. I could tell with actually a lot of the girls. I could tell in practice the days leading up that they were focused in the scouting report. They weren't terrified of Cane Ridge. They weren't nervous of the record. They knew that our district was so tough in the season that we were prepared to go against them, and that no knock on the other district, but it wasn't as tough and grueling throughout this season for Cane Ridge as far as a competitive district schedule. So yeah, and one of the things I told her, in practice the day before, I made her promise to me. I said, I don't care if we have 1 game left or we have 8 games left. I want you to play for you. I want you to play for fun. Don't look up in the stands. Don't play for anybody else, but play for yourself.
And you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
There's almost a sense of calmness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to go back. I'm sitting with Coach Wild during this game. The first 10 minutes of this game, I'm thinking,
We're going to get blown out.
I'm going to get in the car and leave. I ain't gonna lie. It was 17-2 at one point in time. You come roaring back. We kept saying if they can get it to single digits before halftime, you're in good shape. You did. You come out of halftime by the end of the quarter. You got to have it within 5. You did. Next thing you know, you get ahead. They had no earthly idea what to do once you got ahead. You end up winning this game 42-40. We like to keep saying Lexi Erickson, freshman, hits a big shot down the stretch on this game. So you win that game. You knock off the number 1 seed, 42-40. You play Dixon. Dixon County, obviously, perennial powerhouse. You beat them in the second round, 53-45. You start to sense this thing building. Then it gets back to the Battle of the Woods, round 4, region championship. You cannot write a script any better than that. You win that game 68-60. It was a pretty dominating game on your behalf all the way through.
Yeah, I'm just proud of them. We've faced a lot of adversity this season with 14 of my 17 girls being brand new to the program. Jazz Harmon going down with a season-ending injury. And then in the Dixon game, Kristen Murray, another one of my senior starters, who wasn't a big-time scorer for me, but she did a lot defensively and was just another body because I don't have a lot of depth. So with her going down against Dixon, I had really 6 girls, and then Mary Prestegard, one of my other freshmen that have played literally 0 minutes this year, varsity, steps in at the end of Dixon game when Kristen goes down and hits a huge layup we needed, and then scores 4 points against Brentwood that night in the championship game. So it was just it was so fun to see the next player step up. That kind of have their shiny moment. Like you said, Lexi with his shot against Cane Ridge, and then Jayla, just her stellar defense in all the games throughout the district tournament and region tournament. But then her also stepping up and scoring. She's usually not an outside shooter, and she hit a 3 and was very consistent from that baseline jumper.
Coach Joines, Franklin Rebels 28-6, 13-3, unbelievable record, best record since mid-early 90s for Franklin, first sectional bid since mid-early 90s. There's a lot of similarities between the Ravenwood Lady Raptors roster and year and Franklin. We got a lot of young players returning.
Right.
Let's talk about the tops for just a moment. Kira Downey, all-time leading scorer for Ravenwood High School. Reese Glover, now Reese Glover is going to have an unbelievable career, but to top the Franklin list of all-time leading scorer, which is 2,800 points.
That's going to be tough.
I'm not sure that's going to get there, but
let's hope it happens, right?
yeah, we have both have superstars. However, yours is leaving. I think Jazz Harmon can obviously going to fill that role for you, but you have Reese Glover coming back. Just talk about your team for just a moment, Coach Joines. The run that you guys had. You lost. You look back in this, and it's not. It's kind of funny, but it's not, because you know that anybody can win any given night. But you think January 8th, you lose to Page, and you lose by double digits to Page.
Right, 19.
And then you won 14 straight games. Did not lose again until February, and you lost to Centennial. And you lost to Centennial twice in February, which is interesting to note that rivalry between you guys. But take us through. District. Let's start at the district quarters. Independence, and just listen to these scores. Now, they're well below 500.
Right.
Well below 500. Single-digit wins.
That crossed my mind with about a minute to go, I think.
58-55.
Yeah, and really, the thing we talked about after that game, and I'm going to say of all the years I've coached, that seemed to be the most stressed I've seen a team in the first round. Those games are always stressful. But we had won the league, and we had the player of the year in the league.
But
and
you
the
were on
coach.
the flip.
We had all
script,
those things.
The script was flipped the year before that.
Sure.
Grayson Murphy.
Well, but it was 4-5 game.
Right.
But we were one. And it felt like all we could do was lose, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? We couldn't really win for losing in a lot of ways. And after the game, I mean, people were emotional in the locker room, and I told them, I said, I have coached long enough that I know sometimes when you survive a game like this, you make it pretty far. So it ended up happening, which was great. But I'm telling you, that was a very stressful game. It was, and we led that game 18-0 at home.
Well, after you won that game, you got that off your back,
Yes.
which was a huge weight, because then obviously you're in the tournament and going to the regions and whatnot. You play semis, Centennial in the semis. You lost that game 64-58. Now, District 11 AAA tournament at home was probably not expected. You were
Right.
expected to win that thing on your home floor. You know, the Rebellion's there, great atmosphere. Hats off to Centennial. They played a remarkable
They did.
game that game. Hainsworth, big game. Dusty Wilson, all those games, huge games. Trey Carlton, that group of Centennial. Lost 64-58, then you turn around and play the consolation game. Dixon, 63-59, another close game.
Right.
You can kind of see this thing, you know.
Right.
At this point in time of the year, everybody knows everybody's ups and downs.
Right. Well, and the thing we talked about, and that was another stressful game. We had a late 3 there. We ended up winning by 4, but we were down 2. Glover hits a 3 in the corner, goes the length of the floor, hits a 3 to put us up 2, which was a pretty unbelievable shot. And then we talked about after that game, because it was very disappointing. I mean, it really was not to win the tournament at our place, because we were the #1 seed at home. It was kind of late out there for us. There was a lot of excitement around the tournament, having it at Franklin. And then to lose was very disappointing. It was. But kind of like you talked about with your team, we just said, you know, we can make a rebound from this for sure. And we talked about, too, we had to win a 4-team tournament. That was our side of the bracket. So that's all we really were worried about. Got to beat Antioch, obviously, on their home floor. But let's worry about these 4 teams. We have to be the one standing. So that's sort of the way we approached it. And to get to play Brentwood in the semis was great. I mean, it was great.
I mean, that was the game of the tournament, really. Even though the Cane Ridge game was pretty good, to me it was kind of a little anticlimactic, because the Brentwood game was such a crucial game for you two.
Right.
Winner moves on, loser goes to the house. You win 49-44. Cane Ridge in the 6th AAA championship, 77-68 to win the region championship.
It was great.
Satisfying win against a really good Cane Ridge athletic team.
I'll tell you what was really great for me for us to win that. The last time we won the regional tournament was 1989. And Jay Johnson, who really is one of the reasons I'm at Franklin, good friend of mine. We've become really good friends since I've been there. He was on the team that won in '89, which was great. And to see him after the game, you know, people were taking pictures with the regional championship trophy. I've got a picture of him with that trophy and Miss Dickerson, and it was so great for the school, because that's a long time now. That's a long time, 1989.
How many region championships has
This was our first.
first ever?
Yeah.
Let's
we
hope they're
haven't
not
been
saying
as opened
29
as long
years.
as Franklin, but it was, you know, it's
Well,
still.
it's the first time in my short time here that we have swept region championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Dixon has kind of pretty much owned that
Yeah.
thing since we've been here on the girls' side, and the boys' side has gone elsewhere as well. So you both get into the sectional games, sub-state. And then in that game, Ravenwood Lady Raptors, you draw Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
You beat Lebanon 59-50 at home, Corey Barrett's team.
Yeah.
To get into the championship. Take us through the locker room after that win.
After beating Lebanon?
Yes.
Well, I don't even know if we made it to the locker room, but like for a few minutes. But we were just so, excited. I think after we beat Cane Ridge, it just gave us confidence. And, a lot of firsts this year for our program, winning region, winning sub-state, going to state for the first time ever. But beating Dixon was a first for us. We've never beaten Dixon. Like you said, they, on the girls' side, are, have kind of been a powerhouse. They've gone to state the last 3 or 4 years. And so I think once we beat those 2 teams, we just had a lot of confidence, and we knew the next person was going to step up. So I think we knew going into Lebanon that it was going to be a tough game. It was going to be a battle, but we were getting to host. It was at our place, and we just knew we had to do the little things. And again, they just stepped up. And honestly, Kira was huge. Offensively, she was huge, but she was big for us defensively. She had to guard their best player, stay out of foul trouble, and stop her, and play offensively. And it was unbelievable to have that great of a fan base there. Great student section, which is not a common thing for us at Ravenwood to have that great of a student section. It was exciting. It was fun.
It's one of those things, and for whatever reason, girls basketball, they really have to work hard at. You have to have a lot of wins and things that were, and once you started, that ball started rolling, when you got to that sub-state game at home, obviously the Raptor Nation came out for you. I have to give a little bit of a shout out to Matt Daniels and the job that he's doing cultural-wise to kind of help those things behind the scenes. I think I remember him telling me he was getting football guys to come, and that's big.
Yeah.
It's big for the girls. The girls need to have that feeling of unity as well, just like on the guys' side. And I know you spoke to that, how hard it is to get those people there, but they showed out that night.
I mean, it was awesome, and I thank all the coaches, especially Coach Daniels, but Coach Whitlock. He had the boys basketball team there, and when we played at Franklin for the region championship, the softball team was there, the football team was there, the baseball team. I mean,
and that's what it takes.
Yeah, and it was just, and then the coaches were there too. So it wasn't like they were just telling the players; they were there themselves. So it just made it fun, and it just goes to show that the importance of supporting all the sports at the schools, and building that sense of, family, not just within your team, but within all the teams.
And how important is that? I mean, you can go back several years when Ravenwood was the runner-up and state champion. You could, that whole family feeling was there. The school was on fire, and now I feel like it's back to that place. And I'm just going to tell you, Ravenwood was the school.
Yeah.
For that
for a little bit, yeah.
And I'm feeling that Ravenwood is getting back to the top of that class of where you were, because at one point in time, Head and Shoulders, you were better. I mean, school culture, the sports program, the academics, you put it all in one nice package. You put a bow on top. Ravenwood was class. Now, I'm sure Brentwood and Franklin both would say, now, hang on. But I'm in and out of these schools every day, and I'm just telling you.
I mean, Franklin has always been a powerhouse in basketball, girls and boys side, and I think it starts with their middle school programs are really good, and they've always had great coaches. And I think that goes back to the administration, really putting a great focus on that. And I agree, when I first came to Ravenwood, Hester just had that atmosphere of not just building football, but building a tradition at Ravenwood. And I think Daniels is, he's very different than Hester, but he's got the same kind of, culture that he's creating, which is exciting.
There's a reason why I'm mentioning this, and we'll get to that. We're going to segue into that in just a moment. Now, let me look on the other side, the boys' side. Franklin High School gets into the sectional game there. Mount Juliet comes in. That's an old foe of yours. Y'all have played numerous times. You lost 58-46. It was a great run. I was a little bit shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I watched game film. I'm watching them play. They were better than advertised.
They
were a really good team, solid. It's the best on-ball and off-ball defensive team I've seen in a long time at the high school level.
Really good. And something else, they've been in that game 4 straight years. I mean,
it was a matter of time for them.
It was. That says a lot about them making that game 4 straight years.
Wow.
No, they lost it the previous 3. But I think that made a difference too. And it was a great game. I think the score probably isn't indicative of the game. It was 46-41 late, and we had the ball.
Yep.
Missed a shot. But they earned it that night. The thing about that game too, we had 8 turnovers. When you have 8 turnovers playing at home, the kind of atmosphere we had, you would think you would probably win that game. And we don't, but that's a credit to them. Our shooting percentage wasn't great that night, wasn't terrible, but it seemed like offensive rebounding. They just because they were so physical, they were able to get key offensive rebounds and score. If you took away the second chance points, we win that game. But that's obviously a big part of the game. So it felt disappointing, but I'm hoping, kind of like with the maybe the way the district felt, is that we take that and say, hey, we want to get back in that game. That'll be our focus, to try to make it back to that game.
You were definitely outsized, which you had been all year. I mean,
that wasn't new.
Right. So you're bringing the 3-point shot. How many threes did you hit that particular game?
So we hit, I believe it was 9 that game. Yeah.
And what'd you have for the season?
375.
Didn't you have 21 games?
We had 20 a game, 19 another, 18 another. We were talking about this before. I'd looked it up with halfway through the season. I thought, we're kind of on a pace to hit a bunch here. I want to see what the record is in the state. So the state record's 388. And so our 375 is actually second. And that team played 2 more games.
Was that the White County team from
That's
last
right.
year?
Wow.
Yeah.
If we played a couple more games, which would have been great, we probably would have broken that record. But probably not an ideal way to play, honestly. I mean, we scored way more points from the 3 than the 2, but you got to do what you have to do. And we had really good shooters. I think as a team we shot 40% from the 3-point line, which I'll take that every time.
Well, you look at your roster. You're going to be losing some guys. Obviously, 2 seniors: Evan Sigler, Jones, Avery Jones, going to be moving on.
Jack Patton.
Jack Patton as well. Point guard for you. You're going to have Reed Kemp stepping in. He's a
Right.
freshman. Played some pretty good quality minutes
He
this year.
did.
Be a sophomore. Of course, Reese will be back. I'm going to talk about Evan Sigler for a moment.
Yeah.
Fine young man. Now, all these guys are high character. Your kids are high character. I've been around your programs both for a long time now, known these kids, seen them come through. Talk about being a student athlete. Being a student athlete at Franklin High School. Talk about
Right.
Evan Sigler. 1,000-point scorer.
Yeah.
And what has he done academically?
Well, he has his ACT, it's either a 32 or 33. I think it's 4.4 GPA.
Now, you could add our two up.
That's right.
And maybe get to hers.
No, keep her out of it.
Okay.
Definitely our two, though.
All right. I'm saying our two got to get to her, and I'm not sure that she's up there, but she might be. I don't know.
I wasn't there.
No, just a great, and shows up every day. I mean, he's typical of really what we have at our school and on our team. I think we have 4 guys that have 30 or higher on the ACT in our program, which is just unbelievable. I mean, these guys are very serious about school, which is great. Great leadership because of that. And something I would say about Evan and the other 2 seniors, and we talked about this in our last meeting as a team, one of the things that maybe gets underestimated is those guys, if you just think back watching our team, perfect demeanors. Never once, with the faces and the sticking their hands up.
Ever.
And always the same. No matter if the situation was tough. Doesn't mean they didn't show emotion. A lot of times they did, but never a negative demeanor, ever. Not one time the whole season. And that says a lot. And that's really leadership. And that's something that we'll miss and have to work to replace.
Does that high level of intelligence in the classroom, does it correlate onto the basketball court? When you draw up a play one time, you've had teams where you have to draw it up and you have to practice it 20 times to get it.
Right.
But then you have a couple teams that you can come in and say, we're going to be here, you're going to be here, we haven't done this before, we're going to do this, and they go out there and they execute it perfectly.
Well, in their case, yes. But I think sometimes, don't get basketball IQ confused with classroom IQ.
Sure.
Sometimes it's different.
I'm not. I'm just saying, does it translate?
But on our team, yes, because those things do happen. They really do. You can talk about something once in practice, and it pretty much happens. And one of the things I told our team early on last year, in my first year, I said, I have found out pretty quick that you guys are intelligent players, and I like to play more emotion offense. Let them do their thing. I mean, we run some set plays, but that's never been a huge part of what I do. Now, I have Coach Justin Anderson, my assistant, who's great at it, and we do a lot of that. But I'm more of a let's learn how to play and then just play. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, these guys can play. They know how to play the game, and it makes it fun to coach. Villanova's a lot like that. I saw something about them the day after that championship game, that they just play within a system.
Well, you're both very outwardly passionate about the game. I love watching both of you on the bench, on the sidelines, and I was the same way. We're going to yell, we're going to stomp, we're going to clap, we're going to hug, we're going to, we might get mad, but we're going to be right back being the best cheerleader right after the fact. Talk about your team and going through this process, the emotional state. You're going through it with Kiera. She's the same way. I mean, she never got down this year, and it was one of those things that we knew that was there, and we finally saw that take place, that ownership that you're speaking of. And maybe it was just a conversation. You ever go back and say, man, if she's going to play like that, I should have gone back and said, hey, go have fun. It's one of those simple things that we sometimes tend to overlook as coaches, as former coaches. Say, if I just had that conversation with you, I'm talking about myself now, not you, but you see my point.
Yeah.
Talk about your relationship with Kiera and that situation.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been awesome if she did that all 4 years. But, she did at times, but putting it consistently with that run like she did was unbelievable. But, hats off to both her and Kristen. They were my 2 seniors that had been with me from freshman to senior. And to come in with 14 new girls on the team, they just really took the team in. They were patient with them, teaching them. And, I will say, I think one of the reasons why we were so successful this season wasn't because of our superb talent. I think we had talent and we had pieces, but it came together because in my 10th year of coaching, this is the best team chemistry team I've ever had. The girls really, truly cared and loved each other. And I think that made all the difference this year.
Well, you both did remarkable jobs. I'm gonna end on something special. We've got roughly 2 or 3 minutes. I'm gonna talk about something that's gonna segue into this. Coach Joines, marketing teacher at Franklin High School, sports broadcasting, marketing class. Things are looking forward to on CTE at your place, Chandler Tire Guard. I don't know how much you've been involved in this yet, but you will be heavily involved as we move forward. Talk a little bit about that class, what's going on, very briefly now. I know that's hard for you to do.
We have a stopwatch here.
Yeah, District 11 AAA tournament, things that have gone on. Go.
Well, first, I appreciate you allowing us to really help out. One of the things I did when I first arrived at Franklin, I talked to Coach Johnson and said, can we get involved in helping the athletic programs, for example, with the website?
Right.
So you and I had a conversation, obviously, early on, and when those websites get rolled out, I mean, it's going to be pretty
awesome.
nice.
They're coming soon, by the way.
So we talked about that, and just as time has gone by, we've become more and more involved. I know I had students last year involved in the Wilcos. We'll do the same thing this year. And my whole thing has always been this: try to find some real life experiences for these students. And because guys like you and Coach Johnson and other folks in our school system have allowed us to do that, they can actually do some actual marketing. For example, district tournament. You know, we're putting logos on the floor. Appreciate Adidas, providing that for us. We had the 11 AAA logo on the floor, which the students helped create. Signage for the locker rooms, and then they served as ambassadors for the teams. And hopefully that worked out great
nice.
for the opponents. But it allowed them to actually participating in some real world marketing. That's what it's all about.
Marketing, event planning.
That's it.
All the things. Well, you spoke of something, the Wilcos. Wilcos are, I'm a little biased towards it, but obviously it's one of my favorite things.
It's great.
Awesome.
It is
Wonderful.
great.
And I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to announce right now that both of you, congratulations, are candidates up for male and female coaches of the year.
Oh, that's nice.
So congratulations.
I didn't know my mother got to vote.
So you're going to have to go get your tux. That's a good reason to go out and get a new set of heels and a new dress for the
my
event.
husband today.
So congratulations, y'all, the first two to be announced
That's
on
nice.
anything
Thank you.
yet.
Thank you.
I hate to do it before the golden tickets are landed, and the golden tickets are awesome, by the way. Wait till you get yours. I'm just saying, it's awesome. But congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think we can look forward to it. It's not set in stone yet, but I think we can probably, if we're looking at the crystal ball, that probably Kira and Reese both will be nominated, obviously, for the basketball category, and maybe even, Kira will be returning if she makes it through the Female Athlete of the Year. I think that is probably a shoo-in, wouldn't you think?
I would hope so.
And I'm going
Both are great.
I would
Great-
safely say that
great
both those
athletes.
two will definitely be
Yeah.
in the basketball category. So it's going to be fun. So not only
that's
do
great.
you have, I know that y'all both would love to win that, but you would like to see those two win
Oh,
those
sure.
things
Absolutely.
more so that, so you're both a part of the event. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. You were already locked in anyways.
Right. That's how you're getting me to
You're
vote
working
For the
it.
red carpet, people are going to think, well, you just gave it to him. No, I didn't vote. That was the media that voted. So congratulations
Yeah,
on
that's
that.
nice. Thank you.
Great seasons. It's been fun. We could do an hour of this.
Yeah. Yes.
So I appreciate you both coming. So thank you for joining us for the WCS Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.
You know the most important lesson you can teach your kids about playing sports is concussion signs and symptoms. After a hit to the head, if they have any concussion signs like blurred vision or headache, they need to stay out of play until they're checked by a healthcare professional. Play safe when it comes to concussion. When in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. This is the other thing you can teach them. Comes in handy.